little Anne, she was a little thoroughbred mare, a great little horse. One time Dad and I were up in the mountains. We'd taken Loy and two of Loy's friends who were in Scouts. They were in the Explorer Scouts, that's the older Scout program. And they wanted to go on a high adventure program, and so, or high adventure outing. And so they picked a lake off a map up in the area somewhat where we used to go hunting. And they decided to go to this lake. It was called Bear Lake. And so Dad and I took the horses and packed them into there. It was 20 miles by horseback into this lake, and we'd never been to the lake before, and there was no marked trail or anything, and it took us a couple of days to find it. We ran into grizzly bear and had an encounter with a couple of grizzly bear. And then camped there at the lake for a few days, and then Dad and I headed home. We had to go home and do something on the farm, and then left the three boys. They were like 17, 18-year-old. I was probably 14. And when Dad and I were heading home with the horses, like I say, there's no trail, and Dad was leading his horse. He was riding Ann, and I was riding Fleet, but we were leading them because it was such a rough country, and there's no trail, and it was on a side hill, and we were slipping. And when Dad, I couldn't find the way to go anymore, so I kind of pulled off and let Dad go past me, leading Ann. When he went past me, I saw a branch sticking up through Ann's tail, right out her tail, right at the top of her tail, and so I flipped that stick with my reins to knock it out, and she jumped and squealed, and that stick had gone up through her belly and out under her tail. A big knotty stick, about this big around, had gone clear up through her belly and out under her tail, and so we kind of got off to a level area when we realized what had happened, and Dad pulled that branch out of her, and the blood and the gore just came out. All we had was a bottle of methylate, and he poured that in there, and then we camped there for 1 or 2 nights, and the bleeding stopped, and then we had to get out of there because we had to get home and then get back to pick the boys up in just 2 or 3 days, the older boys. And she was so stiff and sore from what had happened, we had to move every log and everything for the next, we were probably halfway out of there, maybe 10 miles or something. And we had to move trees and branches and stuff so that she could walk out in very slow walking, you know. But she was a tough little mare, and she survived that totally. And we had, I won a race on her after that, a horse race. And so that was another experience with Ann. But, scary experience, because we didn't know if she was going to make it or what we were going to do.